Hello and welcome back to another video. This time it's a little bit of an onboard story. So to give you the background to this video, this is the NLS 7 start. So it's 1 week after the GT World Challenge race at the Nurburgring. We are back again for the 7th NLS. Qualifying's already happened. We qualified 10th overall. I qualified the car, it was on a damp track, ended up not taking too much risk, and yeah, ended up 10th. A little bit disappointed with that, I must admit, but I was happy to bring the car back in one piece. It was pretty tricky. So yeah, you just join us as we complete the warm-up lap, and we're getting ready to head out for the start. So just trying to sneak around the side of the car ahead to see when the cars ahead are accelerating, but didn't really make a great start, unfortunately. Managed to jump into the slipstream with Kelvin van der Linde on the right hand side here to then start to make up some of the time ahead before heading into turn 1, which is a little bit controversial. I went for a gap on the inside, braked, overshot the corner very slightly and just bounced off of the Wochenspiegel Ferrari. Sorry about that, guys. I was then able to follow Moritz Krantz in the Get Speed Merc up the inside of the junior BMW and one of the Falcon Porsches, held it to the inside for turn 3, and then was able to get the switch back on the exit of turn 4 to one of the Falcon Porsches at least, and then Moritz went the other side of the Falcon Porsche. So it'd actually been a very good start. I managed to make up 6 places in the first few corners, so I was feeling fairly racy. By this point now it's pretty much line astern, so I was just looking to settle into a rhythm with the front guys and start to make a gap. Moritz had a huge slide through the corner here onto the back straight, and this gave me a great run to then again tow past him down the back straight into the kink and complete the move for 3rd place. So 10th place to 3rd place, all in the Grand Prix circuit. It was awesome. We've had a lot of disappointment on the Nürburgring in the previous few races, so this would really set us up for a good result coming into NLS 7. So now, the 2 guys ahead of me, we have the car collection Audi, I believe of Patrick Niederhauser, and then the Manthey Porsche of Kevin Estre. So it was a chance to go head to head with Kevin, who is obviously one of the most notorious drivers on the Nürburgring. So beginning of the lap here, through the Hatzenbach, I had an okay gap to the cars ahead because GT3 cars are very aero dependent on the Nordschleife. You don't want to be too close in a place that you can't overtake because you end up destroying your tyres basically. So didn't want to do that too early on in the race. And you actually see Kevin here, he backs off before Flugplatz because he knows he's not going to overtake into Flugplatz, but he doesn't want to be so close that he gets in the dirty air and then damages his tyres for later on in the race. This point here, again, line astern, you can get in the slipstream, but there's not really a braking zone for Schwiedenkreuz. If you're really feeling brave, you can try and send it into Arenberg. You can just see it's tricky to hold the line here. So you just want to hold your position really, and again, not destroy the tyres too much. Now, after all the frantics of the Grand Prix circuit, it starts to calm down for pretty much the middle of the lap. Overtaking for GT3 cars through this middle part of the lap is pretty much non-existent because there's so little braking zones really. It's not like you can get a good run alongside people and then outbrake them into corners, so you just have to sort of stay line astern. You can make moves on people later on in the race when there's traffic, and you can use that to your advantage, but at this point here it's all about just settling into the rhythm. There's still a 4-hour race to go. And again, you can see we're just sort of holding the gaps between the cars here so that we're not too much in the dirty air and not destroying our front tyres too much. The track is also very slightly damp on either side. That's carried over from qualifying. So there are a few places where in the sun the track is dry, but in the shade the track is still wet, so it's something you really have to be aware of. So in this first lap, again, we're still trying to sort of scout out and sight out to the track conditions completely, so you don't end up making a mistake. You can see that the car collection Audi, through that complicated sort of mid-speed section, starts to pull a gap on us. This is a great example of where the car collection Audi has the free air, so he can just drive normally, whereas Kevin and I, and the cars behind as well, are all driving in the dirty air a little bit, and the gaps start to space out a little bit. Coming to Bergwerk now, you want to be reasonably close to the car ahead here now, because you want to try and get a slipstream up the hill. You're on full throttle for 20-30 seconds here, full throttle, so you need to be close to try and reduce that gap back down again. The kink here is flat out for us in GT3 cars, so it's not really a corner. The next big corner is Nurburgring coming up, and again that's not even a huge gap. The guys ahead of me have pulled away a little bit, story of the year with the M6 really, but through Nurburgring the car is really strong, so we're able to make a lot of that time back again by the time we then get to Stellstrecke here, and we're back on the back of Estre now, before coming to the next complicated section, again where you just have to space yourself out. There's not really the opportunity to pass or overtake. Dropping into carousel, you can see Moritz in the mirror right behind me here, so something to keep aware of as we come closer to the end of the lap. You start to have to plan your strategy on how you're going to play the Dottinger Höhe and the slipstream effect that obviously then comes with it. You can again still see the damp sections on the tracks. It's something to be aware of. Coming into the shade, again you have to just grit your teeth a little bit and hope that it's dry enough that you're going to have enough grip here. Best part of the lap now. Again you can see Kevin's dropped back a little bit from the car collection out of your head just to take himself out of the dirty air a little bit. And we're all pretty much evenly spaced. When you look to the Merc behind, you can just about see the Falcon Porsche behind the Merc. We've started to gap them a little bit, so I know that going into the Dottinger Höhe it's going to be sort of a four car slipstreaming battle. So it gets to this part of the lap now where I'd say that you start to sacrifice your front tyres a little bit, where you try and stay as close to the car ahead as possible so that you don't lose too much time going onto the Dottinger Höhe. Especially with the M6, which is notoriously obviously a big car and notoriously not the greatest in a straight line. You really need to push hard here so that you can stay close. And you have to ruin your front tyres a little bit to obviously try and make the opportunity. You have to weigh that up in a risk versus reward case, how likely you think you are going to pass. This is where it all starts to heat up again, so hold on. Yellow flag on the left hand side, something to be aware of. Just coming over the crest of the hill here, there's suddenly a code 60 and 120 flag as we come over the top there, and I think I just brushed the back of the Manthey Porsche there. It was so close. I was quite unsighted, therefore left my braking very late and almost took the back of the car off. Code 60 now. I'm just staying overlap to see what I can see to make sure I can assess the situation correctly. Car had got smashed up front end, so stayed to the back in line so that I didn't pick up a puncture at all. Overlapped Kevin here, and then he just gives me a little bit of left hand down and actually leans on my car and takes off my front right dive planes. And then I'm waiting for the code 60 to finish now. I've then got the boost on the way out. Moritz is right in my mirror as well. I'm in the slipstream of the Porsche, so I know I'm not going to be too much of a sitting duck. The Audi has already gone ahead of Estre, so he's a bit of a sitting duck now, so then I can jump in the slipstream and then slipstream past Kevin. I pull out of the toe and thought it was kind of done, but then Moritz had the double toe on me and started to show his nose underneath the bridge, and we also had a bit of contact going underneath the bridge there. It was pretty scary. But now I've made the position up into P2, Estre has dropped to P4, Moritz is now in P3, and now my eyes are set on the car collection Audi to really set this race alive for the number 34 Volkenhorst team. However, as I'm coming over the start finish line here, I'm starting to get a low pressure warning on my rear right tyre. So heading into turn 1, everything is fine as the rear right tyre is completely unloaded, but then I know going into this next left-hander, when I load up the rear right, it's just going to completely fall over on me, and that's that. Puncture, Fortunately, it's on the Grand Prix circuit, so it does mean I can, just like NLS 5, duck into the back of the pits, but we're still going to lose 3 minutes quite easily, I would say, on the rest of the pack, and I just have to let all the rest of the cars pass. So, very frustrating. Again, I don't remember how many times I've said that this year already, but yeah, you do a good first start to the race, you want to set the car up for the rest of the race and get a good result after some pretty bad runs in the past few races, and then this happens. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that onboard insight into what it's like to go head to head with Kevin Estre around the Nurburgring. Yeah, if you did, make sure you give this video a like, and if you want to see plenty more content like this, please make sure you stay subscribed. Until next time, it's Dan.